Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's me, Nisi, back with another video. I know it's been a minute since I've done a pre-recorded one. I've done a couple of live streams on my Facebook page, and I wanted to do this pre-recorded video for the folks that follow me over in YouTube. Shout out to Kimira Owa and Chief Red Wolf, James Wooten Branch, or James Branch Wooten. I forget how he has it listed on his YouTube channel. I wanted to thank both of you very much so. I consider you both distant tribe members or family members. Shout out to Camilo. He helped me do my genealogy last week on Memorial Day. We spent almost 6 hours together on Zoom, mapping out both of my maternal and paternal grandparents. I still have work to do on my genealogy tree, but he gave me a great start. So I wanted to do a shout out to him today. I will tag him in this video, as well as Chief Red Wolf. Today, as you would like to call it, Sunday, the first day of the week, so they say. Today is June 2nd, second day here in Houston, Texas for hurricane season. And we've been getting slammed every single week with rain. So for all my Houstonian peeps that see this video, please make sure that you start preparing. If you're not, have extra food, water, way to protect it, and also maps, generator fuel for generators, and also batteries. And if you have solar power, or if you have, even if you have gas, you just want to make sure you have everything that you need just in case you need to evacuate or in case you need to shelter in place. Okay. So the reason why I'm doing this video today is I want to share a couple things with you guys. I went yesterday when I was out running some errands yesterday morning. I grabbed some books over at Barnes & Noble. So I want to show you what I got, and then I'm going to get into this reading. I got this book by Dylan C. Pennygroff, Before the Movement. Okay. It's called The Hidden History of Black Civil Rights. Well, we know that the Black civil rights was initially the Indian civil rights, and I believe it was passed in 1968. And they have since dropped Indian, they've since dropped Black, and now they just say civil rights, right? So those that are in control, we're not going to give that energy. We know those specific group of people that have to paint this narrative. And, shout out to Camilo and Chief Red Wolf, because my knowledge has grown exponentially. I have so much to go back and study and look over. And as I've showed you guys on my live stream videos, I actually have books over here on the floor that I take notes with Chief and also Camilo. Camilo right now is doing a live stream, and I actually had to pause it so I could do this video. I'll go back and watch the rest of it. His presentations go anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. He goes hard with his historical presentations. Very knowledgeable, has references and sources, good information. I'm always pointing even our so-called history teachers and school teachers to his channel so that they can unlearn what they've learned in these institutions, right? It doesn't, everybody's not going to be a historian. Everybody's not going to agree with the works thereof, but I simply say to you, never stop learning and always keep an open mind, right? So that's one of the books that I got. Another book I got was this cool book, The Five Rings, and you see I got the 50% off up here. It's the classic text of mastery and swordsmanship, leadership, conflict, and a translation. So it's The Five Rings, which I'm excited about reading that. Also, I got some other books over here, and I got this cool looking little book bag. I go on Barnes & Noble. I'm in there a hot minute, you guys. I got the Norse mythology, okay? Because I love to read about what they claim is mythology, which we know truly it was us they were writing about, right? And the World of Mythology. See, you got the sticker and you get half off. Buy one, get one half off. And then I got the Greek mythology, right, to add to my library, right? So I just wanted to share those books with you. I've gotta order another bookcase here probably in the next month. I need to get another bookcase because I have ran out of room. So I'm gonna have to have two bookcases on my shelves. So put these in here. Now, Another great book or books that I got, and I just got them delivered today, was The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. He actually has another literary book, a complete set of the classics, which I've have got it in my cart and I'm going to order, but I'm interested in reading this book, The Prophet. And then up here, I've done this on video before, but I wanted to bring these back up. No Scaphandrum, Claudio Nasilli. I started off reading The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls. If you've seen the videos on Facebook, I think I've even done some over here on YouTube. Also, Terra Infinita, right? The Hidden Lands Beyond Antarctica, right? I finished this on, I believe, on Facebook. Got a fourth installment out, The Dome and the Outer Space Projection, year 1728, The Last Reset by Claudio Nasilli. Just got this just now, okay? I just opened it up, and I want to read the back of it to you, okay? It says, in a world where reality is not what it seems, the true nature of the invisible projector dome is revealed, an enigmatic structure covering the known continents of this dome world. With a simulation of the cosmos designed to shape our thinking, this book explores how, over the generations, the custodians and the Anunnaki have used advanced technology to not only project a fictionalized version of the universe, but also to manipulate human perception and destiny away from our true purpose and surroundings. Let's get into it. And this says, the year 1728, the last reset, okay? And we know by their narrative, they've added 1,000 years. This is not 1,000. This is not 2024. This is actually 1,024. And I would beg to state that he says 1728. Does he really mean 728? Okay. All right. And he's got his sources here: Instagram, YouTube channel. He's got all of this on here where you can go to all of his information, his contact information. And we're going to read chapter 1. It's called The Sunset on the Ancestral Shores. All right. The red sun seems to settle on the horizon, reflecting on the calm sea that bathes the shores of the ancestral lands. My feet are cooled by each push of the tide, remaining under the most crystalline purity. And I simply observe, while I reflect, it is impossible that this landscape does not remind me of the beautiful sunsets of those lands that belong to us, and that the colonizing parasites seem to be destroying every day the known lands that I left some time ago, and that become a wound that never seems to close. For the brothers who were left on the way, and with the importance of not being, and with the impotence, of not being able to help them on that great scale as it has been planned for a long time, like that great plan initiated by William Morris, who is deeply missed since he is not among us in the physical form, and waiting for Helen, who continues traveling through the dome worlds, following the same steps of her beloved father. Today, I find myself less oblivious to what seems to be the real purpose. At least my mind is no longer sending so many negative messages of issues that have already happened or even never happened or will never happen. And that, here I call it, reaching a certain ancestral stillness. Although it is also true that the years here pass is in a different way, simply because what is known as the dome, quote unquote, that encompasses and covers all the known continents, which is where we are now, people, okay, not only serves as a barrier membrane dividing lands or worlds, but also separates the different planes of existence. I'm going to repeat that one more time for you guys in the back row. The dome that encompasses and covers all known continents not only serves as a barrier membrane dividing lands or worlds, but also separates the different planes of existence. This part is very complex to assimilate, and much more for someone born after the last reset. I will go deeper into this later, or as the written history calls us, at least here in the ancestral lands, the new humanity. I have visited so many times the great ancestral library, and every time my body enters that cold and imposing structure, I feel as if my mind connects to another plane of understanding. For the rich history found there is worthy of study from the first years of life. To understand humanity as a greater creation that pioneered a seemingly internal struggle towards complete liberation, as well as to safeguard our essence. Human souls connected to the most mysterious lands that guard this great dome, compromising the 178 worlds, the celestial lands, or terra incarnata, where the source seems to return every time we leave this physical plane of existence, or better said, when our souls decide to return to the original source. But it is always nice to embark on this path with a good celestial company. Next to me with Tohol El, an ancestral woman who still possesses genetics of the ancient Anakin and who kindly guided me in my study and my new learning about human history and our surroundings, as difficult to understand as intriguing. For some reason, she, like most of the ancestors here, called me very formally by my last name, Nuccelli. In this way, I will try to answer the questions that someone may have when starting to study about the human past, as I had from the beginning. Of the many resets, the strange dome, our barrier membrane, the last great war that marked a before and after, and above all, infinite human spiritual potential. And here's a picture here of this beautiful long-haired, red-headed person standing in before the beaches and the ice walls, and I'm going to show you a picture of it. Beautiful. And then he has pictures of this. So it looks like a city on the beach. Domes, small villages, right? That's chapter 1. We're going to get into chapter 2. Conversations with the ancestral humans, the 6th generation. The first thing to keep in mind as one goes deeper into the study of the past history of humanity are the resets or restarts. These interruptions of development have an average of stipulated years, except for some exceptions we will see later, and are carried out by the colonizing parasites, the custodians, and the Anunnaki in each cycle, thus generating a new humanity after each reset that will, with the custodian laboratory technology, carry out the process of repopulation of the known continents. But the most important detail to keep in mind is that each new beginning is a strict adjustment to improve, according to their own perspective, the colony. In this way, they carry out great and rigorous modifications in several areas that they consider important. Undoubtedly, the most extensive cycle that has marked the custodians the most was the previous humanity. Ancestral are also known as the Great Tartary era that happened before the year we know as 1728. For the reason the adjustments were even more strict, precise, and inflexible, and one of the many changes that we're going to carry out under the invisible dome would happen precisely in our skies with the insertion of advanced technology for the illusion by means of projections from outer space, molding everything else to that belief of what we see in the skies and reflecting what Earth then happens. In this way, they would begin to add during the following years of development, and according to the path they wanted to take the new humans, the strict education based on the prefixed parameters on calculations adapted in the known history. Or the known theory, in conjunction with the technology that the custodians and the Anunnaki beings themselves were going to gradually insert, so that these theories would be well received and could not even be questioned. The idea of the invisible dome projector had a lot to do, according to the information gathered by the ancestors, with the Anunnaki beings, who after the last treaty would have kept a large percentage of the human colony, since the custodians had lost a fierce war against these beings and were forced to sign so as not to lose it in its entirety. They would then have adopted this new model to try achieve a different path for the long development of the new humanity within the dividing barriers. Thus began the new adaptive cycle in the year 1728 with the idea of being able to postpone without any reset by trying to reach its maximum stipulated time. clearly agreed upon in advance, and by removing the new humanity from any idea of being able to obtain information about their environment and the home where they really live, as well as their true purpose on the physical plane and their importance within the Great Dome. Okay, now that's chapter 2. I want to stay within my time frame, so we're going to read chapter 3 and I'm going to shut it down. It says, chapter 3, the theory of the invisible projector dome, the IDP, and the space illusion. On this path to deep knowledge about the environment and the dome world we live in, many of the ancestors who are always ready to help answered as many questions as necessary, both Ta'el and other great masters. I am going to try to take you through the same path that I had to travel since I arrived in these wonderful lands. And this is a picture of what our world actually looks like, okay? The dome is not specific to our lands. There is at least one dividing dome for each world or circle environment or cell matrix, whatever the reader likes to call them. This transparent dome that seems to function as a kind of plasma membrane due to its main function is much more complex to understand and, of course, to analyze. It is the representation of dividing layers of multiverses and of a totally different inner-outer connection. For that reason, the custodians and Anunnaki not only easily manipulated our world due to their advanced technology, but also that of so many others. But why is the dome so important, and how does it relate to lost human history? Well, to answer these questions, we will have to first understand that if this theory is true, knowledge about the true universe is being deliberately withheld from us. And this could lead to a transformation of our society completely. About our understanding of human existence and our spirituality, absolutely. Ta'el, I hope I'm saying her name right as she sees this video, then states, we can say that in addition to encapsulating our lands, this dome also encapsulates our reality. From there starts the basis of custodial manipulation and lying about our life purpose and past, and consequently our totally uncertain future. These domes do not seem to be artificial creation, at least by any colonizer, a priori known, but it was manipulated, at least certainly in our lands of origin, to act as a great projector of the sky that we know, and thus gives us a great cosmic simulation to test our experience on Earth, and the creation of an inaccessible outer space where it seeks to reflect what we are, so that the story of our outer space becomes easier to educate us with the idea of human insignificance. The fact of feeling ourselves a mere distant point in a vast universe full of stars and full of galaxies far from each other, where everything moves, where theories abound, and the Big Bang Theory also becomes relevant. The invisible dome projector theory demolishes all these theories because if everything we see in the sky is part of this great simulator with advanced custodial technology, then the question would inevitably arise, and what world are we really living in? And when one begins to question these issues that we took for irrefutable truths, everything around us seems to tremble, to collapse immediately and completely. All of this is just a summary of the information I found in the Great Ancestral Library. And all of this enriching conversations with ancestral humans. For this reason, I'm going to go deeper into the subject that I consider of great importance at the time of the beginning to analyze the home where we live and the worlds that surround us. The first clash of realities when crossing the Morse Passage and crossing the first dome beyond the physical force of thrust that you feel is to try to turn off the mind that is quickly filled with questions that your own eyes cannot answer. This crossing is not only physical, it confronts realities and adds up to a total destruction of imposed dogmas. It is really like being born again. All the concepts studied or analyzed are shattered in just seconds. But in addition to all these mixed feelings, the first thing that one is impregnated with is forgotten feeling of being important again. And I am not referring to the mere fact base of egocentrism, but as humanity, an inner strength that seems to be asleep about our being and is revitalized. The fact of understanding that we are not a distant point in a vast universe that shows the skies projected by the dome is of such significance that makes us face what follows with a total renewed energy. Every ancestor is educated in different ways, but the Great Ancestral Library is not only a large database that collects information and experiences from various points of the different worlds and lands, but it is also a must visit to be able to understand in depth about the records of how different historical events happened during the various resets were deliberately destroyed from our history. And I would love to go to the ancestral city, and I would love to be taught by the elders and the wise ones, and I would love to go beyond the ice walls. That is a dream of mine. Will I see it? Me being 55 years old, as they say, as they have told me since I've been born into this illusion, will I be able to see and be able to make that trip? I very much hope so. The Great Library was destroyed several times by the custodian attacks, but it has such a complex and advanced system that absolutely none of the databases could be manipulated, let alone permanently destroyed. For that reason, several libraries were erected in different parts of the ancestral lands, but it was decided over time to locate this great structure in the capital, the Ark. And since many suns ago, it is located in the same place where it is visited daily by both ancestral beings as Anakin, or in cases of extreme rarity as humans of the new cycle, as in this case. All the records of ships and vessels that have visited these lands during the great periods of life here outside the known lands are found in this great structure, and several of them caught my attention enough to mention some of them in the previous books, and I will also share them gradually. But it seems to me that it is appropriate to begin with the invisible dome projector, the one that will serve as a bridge to start a new path. Then we will travel in time to the first human civilizations that forged great centers in these lands and endangered so many times the dark colonizing plans. The following is a representation of the Great Ancestral Library located in El Arca, and this is absolutely beautiful. Look at this. Y'all see that? Is that like not something out right out of Star Wars, you guys? I mean, look at the books. Oh, I could spend years in there. All right, that is chapter 3. Should we go on and do chapter 4 really quick? I think we've got 8 minutes. I think I can try to get it in. Chapter 4. Why not question the current model of the universe? The 3 legs. Again, on the shores of the ocean of the Tartars, I met 4 ancestors who were talking about life and deep issues around me. While the light breeze turned into a furious blows that forced us to take shelter, the conversation continued for hours, and then I took the opportunity to ask about the current model that is installed in our lands of origin. One of them then commented, of the best strategies to shape the path to misinformation and distortion is simply use controls. What specifically are you referring to? The control of information is of vital importance in order to lead any kind of thought, theory, or idea becoming official. So, following this thought, I asked, how is information controlled? Media, propaganda, and authority figures will complete the 3 legs that are needed to block any attempt as alternate history or theory easily discredited using one of those legs or all 3 together if required. While this explanation was going on, another of the ancestors also stated, the media plays a very important role in this life of the new humanity, whether it wants to or not. It can mold minds very easily. Thus, they, the new humanity, were modified by colonizers to be like a big open book to write in. Another important issue is about the censorship of data that will suffer all those that may go against the official data, especially those that do not have the scientific foundation pre-established by themselves. And who provides this foundation? You have hit the mark. The 3rd leg, the authority figure, he said again. For my question, then many answers were born from these ancestral masters. The conversation was not wasted, and I find it of great interest to be able to share a summary below. These great scientific minds, renowned politicians, and celebrities who play a predominantly role in society will give you the necessary validity so that such a theory will never be ever questioned. On the other hand, whoever dares to speak out against it will be totally discredited, or worse scenarios await him or her. These figures will then be able to reinforce the idea of their outer space or accelerating expansion of the universe, the Big Bang Theory, and so many others that try to explain that if you had any doubt that we were a point away from everything and that human life began by the mere luck of chemical processes, they will also reinforce it with the idea that the entire universe was also created in a similar way, reducing the entire humanity to a simple fact, reducing the thousands of hearts that today beat inside those ice walls and every feeling and experience to simple chemical processes. These three legs that seem insurmountable unite to destroy any alternative hypothesis of beginning of life. This feeling of insignificance by manipulating the origin of human life and the position we have regarding the worlds around us can also create related feelings. People can then feel small and can lead to less questioning of authority. The third leg also destroys the capacity of human or individual belief to be able to generate significant changes not only around but of your own life. The earthly problems become also something tiny. People tend to be more docile with respect to the problems that happen in each region where there may be huge inequalities of all kinds, thus also avoiding the pressures that could generate social, political, or spiritual changes. It annihilates any mind of its creativity and critical thinking about alternatives to the cosmos by posing only a vision of the universe. That is nothing more than a holographic. New ideas break down as soon as they are born during our deepest feelings towards life. It is impossible in this way to critically evaluate any alternative idea without being consumed by the pressure or gaze of environment. All this intrinsically affects the human psyche, and it gives a total different context to our day-to-day life, thus molding the life of the new human towards a purely material path that seeks to enlarge its egotism based on achievements and moves away from the inner path towards self-discovery, since the ancestral past was erased from our memory since the earth was repopulated in the year 1728 post-Great War during the era of the Great Tartary. I will analyze this later in depth. And he says, these conversations, as intense and deep as fruitful in their context about our environment, continued throughout several suns. And it is my pleasure to be able to share such thoughts and ancestral knowledge that came out of these enriching conversations, as well as text and information from the database of the great ancestral library of the capital of the Ark. And that stops. So we've read chapters 1 through 4. And when I come back, we're going to get into chapter 5, which is called The Importance of the Reinterpretation of Ancient Texts Within the Invisible Dome. Okay, so I've read 4 chapters with you all today. I hope you've enjoyed the reading. Shared a lot of great information. I've shared a few books with you guys. Trying to get my bookmarkers. I guess I might use this one. I've shared some great resources with you all. And, I hope you all do pick up this book that's out. And I'm going to shout out Claudio Michelli on this YouTube video. It is called The Dome and the Outer Space Projection. Okay. And this is a part of the Claudio Michelli or No Scaphandrum Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls, Terra Infinita, and The Hidden Lands Beyond Antarctica, and now the 4th installment, The Dome and the Outer Space Projections. So I hope you guys have at least picked up these books on Amazon and supported Claudio. If you can't get them on Amazon, definitely can go to his website, okay, and pick up these books. And, we never stop learning and never stop growing. Also, one last shout out. I'm going to shout out my brother, my big brother, Jamil Jamshid Dean. Don't call my dummy no dummy. And I told you, don't call my dummy no dummy. Also want to shout out Mama Neen over on TikTok. She has a ebook that's called Family Genealogy and Land Patent Resources, Indigenous Genealogy, Finding Your Roots. It's time to set the record straight. I am now searching for land patents in my family. Also, one other book I want to shout out by Harry B. Joseph, which I've been reading, called The Book of Wisdom. Okay. And Julio Castro, The Hearth Book. Okay. All great books, all great information. Also, Flat Atlantis is another great resource as well. I know Chief Red Wolf has been reading from Flat Atlantis, Arthur Koestler's 13 Tribes, Behold the Pale Horse, as well as 100 Years of Lynching, and Facts Are Facts. So he's been reading a lot. I am going to get back on here and start reading that this week, so we can get into book 4, and we're going to finish that off and read that. I am looking forward to coming back on and spending more time with you guys. I'm at 30 minutes, so I'm going to shut it down. I hope you guys have a great evening. And as I always say, be the change you want to see all around this planet, because it is up to you and I to make a positive change, right? I would say I love you guys, but I'm trying to get away from that. I'm just going to say we are eternally bonded for anyone that sees this video. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I'll be back soon.